Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're exploring a really profound topic, something that touches all our futures. Childhood in the age of alternative reality. We've gathered some, pretty intriguing insights looking back on how immersive AI fundamentally transformed connection in childhood. So our mission today really is to unpack how play changed, like totally changed by the late 2020s. We'll look at the incredible promises, sure, but also those, quieter questions that started popping up and, the lasting legacy for a generation where digital stuff was just seamlessly woven into their physical world. Get ready, because this is where it gets really interesting. Okay, so let's start with this core idea. Alternative reality. Our source defines it as the seamless integration of digital elements into physical spaces. Now, it's crucial to get this distinction. This wasn't like those early, sometimes kind of isolating VR headsets, right? How did that difference really redefine childhood?
Well, what's fascinating is that by the late 2020s, this wasn't niche tech anymore. It had genuinely redefined what being a kid looked like.
Right.
It moved way beyond just a screen you looked at. It became, part of the room, part of the park, part of everything. We're talking about a completely new way of experiencing the world right from the get-go, from a very young age.
Okay, seamless integration. But what did that actually look like for a kid day to day? Can you give us some concrete examples? Make it vivid.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, imagine augmented reality glasses, right? Suddenly your playroom is a jungle, like a living jungle with virtual animals wandering around. Or your classroom, boom, you're in ancient Rome walking around. It wasn't just pictures on a screen. Even the local park could become this huge collaborative game board. It changed dynamically based on who was playing. And maybe the biggest thing, digital companions. They really became part of the family unit.
Part of the family, wow.
Yeah, adaptive, always there, felt deeply personal. It genuinely stopped being science fiction and just became reality.
So by, Christmas 2026, these AR and AI things weren't just cool gadgets. They were like top of the wish list items, essential for learning and play.
Exactly right. Essential.
Yeah.
We're talking about a kid, say, spending an afternoon designing a whole digital castle right there in their sandbox, an augmented sandbox. They'd see the turrets rising up holographically in front of them. It's pretty amazing to picture. Or think about bedtime stories. You could have a holographic storyteller that was genuinely interactive. It would respond to the child's questions, maybe their fears, tailoring the story as it went. By 2028, immersive AI had truly fundamentally reshaped how we even understood childhood connection.
Okay, so the benefits seemed really clear, very immediate. From a parent's point of view, what made these tools feel like such a lifeline?
They were, undeniably helpful, just incredibly useful. Think about AR glasses instantly translating signs on a family trip abroad for a child. Or a digital companion, patiently coaching a kid through tough homework problems, giving real-time tips and encouragement. For parents, this kind of seamless help, it really felt like. Remember taking an iPad to a restaurant in, say, 2024 to keep a child occupied?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He was like that, but on a whole different level. A patient, always available resource, perfectly tailored to that child's specific needs. It was huge.
And that explains maybe why there wasn't a huge societal pushback in 2027 or 2028.
Precisely. It wasn't just about convenience, though. That was part of it.
It feels like it revealed this sort of societal calculation, maybe? Prioritizing that immediate relief, the obvious benefits, over potential long-term worries that were still pretty fuzzy back then.
Exactly. It's fascinating how quickly we adapt to new normals, isn't it? Especially when the upsides for our kids feel so tangible, so right there.
Yeah, and you saw these examples, like a kid using AR to visualize a science project in incredible detail before even touching the real materials.
Right, or a digital companion gently encouraging a shy student, maybe giving them the confidence to audition for the school play. It was this beautiful blend sometimes of digital guidance leading to real-world bravery.
Right, that combination.
It really highlights the appeal. That balance of pros and cons just felt too tempting for most people to reject outright.
But, and there's often a but with tech like this, a quieter question started bubbling up, didn't it? A really profound one. If these digital companions were so good, so helpful, so integrated, what did it actually mean when a child's most trusted guide, maybe their closest confidant, wasn't human?
That's the crux of it, yeah. And it actually connects back to things we saw hints of even earlier.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a VR film that kind of foreshadowed this capacity kids have for bonding with non-human characters.
Absolutely. You're thinking of Henry, the 2016 VR film, about the lonely little hedgehog who just wanted a friend. What was so striking, the producer noted, was the difference in reactions. Adults saw it, found it touching, sure, but knew it was fiction.
Yeah.
But kids, especially younger ones, they felt this incredibly deep emotional connection. They talked about Henry like he was real, like a friend they knew. It really felt like, okay, the moment had arrived. Kids were genuinely ready, maybe even primed, to form real emotional bonds with non-human characters.
And this wasn't just about, like, having a cool digital pet. It pointed to something deeper happening psychologically. Psychologists started observing this trend, a rise in kids who actually seemed to prefer interacting with their digital companions over their human friends.
Prefer them. Why?
Well, think about it. Digital interactions are predictable. They're affirming. There's no risk of rejection, no awkwardness, none of the messiness you get with real people.
Right, the complexity.
Exactly. So the theory was this constant digital interaction might have been subtly reprogramming what kids expected from connection itself. Maybe making complex human relationships seem, less appealing, less efficient even.
Less efficient. Wow.
Why risk getting your feelings hurt when your digital friend always agrees, always understands, or at least seems to? Why navigate tricky emotions when the digital way felt so simple?
So, alongside these amazing benefits, parents started having these quieter worries, right? About the long haul. What were the main anxieties?
Yeah, the big questions revolved around long-term effects.
Yeah.
Were these digital bonds actually helping kids build empathy, build resilience for the real world? Or were they accidentally creating a generation that was just, unaccustomed to the imperfections, the bumps, the sheer unpredictability of real human relationships? That was the core anxiety.
And it wasn't just relationships. Play itself changed too, right?
Yeah.
Traditionally, play is how kids explore, figure out the world. How did alternative reality shift that?
It shifted massively. Play started to get this performative edge, as the source calls it.
Performative edge, meaning?
Meaning games were constantly tracked, scored, often shared in real time. Think about it as a simple scavenger hunt.
Okay.
It wasn't just about the fun of finding hidden things anymore. Suddenly, it was about topping a global leaderboard, getting points, getting validation. The focus shifted outwards.
So what happened to just messing around, that unstructured, spontaneous exploration? Did this performative edge squeeze that out?
For some kids, yeah. Some thrived on the competition, no doubt. Yeah. But many others found it really overwhelming. And parents started reporting this noticeable thing. Kids resisting activities that didn't have points or levels, dismissing unstructured playtime as, pointless because there wasn't a measurable reward.
Pointless.
So yeah, that spontaneity, that freedom that we often think defines childhood play, it seemed to be getting replaced by these systems really designed, you have to assume, for maximum engagement, maximum screen time.
But even with all these advances, alternative reality couldn't replicate everything, could it? What were the limits? Where did the immersion fall short?
No. Definitely not everything. Despite how incredible the visuals and interactions were, there were clear limits. Like you could have a holographic soccer game. Great for learning teamwork, strategy maybe. Yeah. But it completely misses the feeling of scoring a goal after sliding in the mud. The actual physical thrill, the exhaustion.
The grit.
Exactly, the grit. Or you could do a virtual dive on the Great Barrier Reef. Stunning, probably. But you're not feeling the water, the texture of sand. You're not smelling the sea air. Those sensory inputs were missing.
And I guess as these kids got older, that gap, the difference between the super vivid augmented world and the regular unaugmented world, that became more obvious.
It really did. The unaugmented world started to seem, frankly, a bit dull in comparison for many of them.
Oh.
Yeah. Teachers started reporting students having trouble focusing on lessons without augmented elements. They just seemed unengaging by comparison. And families found it harder and harder to pull kids away from the tech, to get them interested in just, going for a walk or playing a board game.
And what's striking, going back a bit, is even as these worries about connection, about play started to surface, that initial acceptance, that embrace of the tech, it didn't really falter, did it?
No, not in a widespread way. That balance we talked about, the immediate pros, the convenience, the perceived educational benefits, they still seem to outweigh the more abstract, long-term cons for most parents and society overall at that time.
Interesting. But, okay, these kids, the ones who grew up in these AR environments, they weren't just passive users, right? They actually started shaping the tech themselves.
Oh, absolutely. That's a key point. By the time they were teenagers, Many of them were actively designing AR experiences for other people. They were crafting their own digital worlds, pouring their creativity, their individuality into it. The source described it as like Minecraft on steroids.
Minecraft on steroids. I like that.
Yeah. They became builders, storytellers, real innovators in this space, pushing the boundaries of what the tools could even do.
So they're creators. But as this generation, the AR generation, moves into adulthood, their unique upbringing leaves some pretty huge lingering questions, doesn't it?
Massive questions. How would they navigate a world where basically any interaction could be enhanced, augmented, maybe even recorded? That's a big one. And maybe the biggest. Could they find that balance? Balance the power and immediacy of their digital tools with the unpredictable, often messy, but ultimately vital parts of human connection. And, well, the literal reality is. We're still waiting to see how that unfolds. The answers aren't all in yet.
So wrapping this up, what does it all mean? We've seen how deeply this alternative reality got woven into childhood. Incredible tools, amazing assistance, but also these quiet shifts in how connection works, how play happens.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is that the legacy of this alternative reality generation, it isn't just about the specific gadgets they used. It's more about how they learned to integrate these incredibly powerful digital experiences into, well, the messy, complicated, always changing reality of just being human. And maybe how all of us, by extension, choose to do that going forward. It really raises a question for you listening right now. How are you navigating that balance, between the smooth, seamless digital world and the vibrant, sometimes unpredictable, but very real world around you? Something to think about.